running up the score.
Jerry Napoleonello.
The Cowboys made 2 mistakes in the last 3 years. One was letting Dak take over for Romo and not having Romo come back in. And 2 was releasing Des Bryant.
Superstition, screw that. Let's pick this bad boy up and walk it around the ice.
Kevin Donlin.
The NFL, like every league, is a business. And in a business, you have a job. And let me tell you something. You always have a boss. No matter who you are, you have a boss when you're in the organization. The New York Jets, you know what they need to do with their second round pick? They need to just start taking it and lighting it up on fire.
This is Running Up the Score, your one-stop spot for all things sports. Join in on the conversation by calling in at 605-562-7085. Now here's your hosts, Jerry Napoleonello and Kevin Donlin.
All right, it's time to Run Up the Score. Running Up the Score podcast on SportsCastr Live. Go to cgiant.com to save on tickets. Type in RUTS Sports to save. So today, really, the show kind of changed pretty drastically within the last 30 or so minutes. And we were going to go into, like, Final Four. We were going to talk about some baseball. And then we were going to talk about, the Stanley Cup playoffs. Now, obviously, the Stanley Cup playoffs don't start for another, I think it's April 10th. Starts the first day of Stanley Cup playoffs. Also, quick, I apologize for the whole beginning. It went haywire again, like it always does. It's that's what you get for trying to do all these different things, technological. However you want to say it.
What?
I don't know. But we're not here to talk about that. We're talking sports, but it's just getting to talking sports. That's the problem so far that we've seen. But really, basically, I just wanted to kind of get into what we saw last night. Okay, so as I said, the show drastically changed when I saw this. And I saw this about a half hour ago.
And I saw this about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, mind you, I
still have shock on my face from it. It's unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it.
I go to bed early, so I didn't get a chance to see, like, the ending of these games. And then I go to work early, so it's kind of like I never really get to see this stuff until I get home, and I'm sitting, getting ready to take a shower or whatever. So I saw this video. Ron Kulpa, umpire for, he was a home plate umpire for the Texas-Houston game. It was in Texas, just background, really.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure it was definitely in the state of Texas.
Well, I'm saying, like, it was in Arlington. It was at the Rangers Stadium. So, basically, what ended up happening was Garrett Cole. It started off, Garrett Cole was in between innings. He's throwing his warm-up pitches, like every pitcher does. Supposedly, there's a pitch count, a pitch clock, in between innings. I don't think I've ever really realized it. I thought it was just, all right, we're waiting for a commercial. Let's throw some, practice pitches. That's it. So supposedly there is there's a pitch clock. So the umpire was basically pissed off that Garrett Cole went over the pitch clock and decided to step in front of home plate. And while he did that, he just basically turned around and started yelling at Garrett Cole. So that was one portion of Ron Kulpa's, fantasy baseball moment last night. So the second moment was pitch goes down pitch from Houston's now batting. So Texas throws his pitch, not even close. It was a curveball in the dirt. He calls a strike. Now, mind you, I mean, I think any team would lose their mind on this. So the whole Houston bench starts, going nuts on it. And like a lot of the times when you see an umpire, this happens. He calls a bad strike, bad ball, whatever it is. You're going to hear something from the dugout. Usually the umpires will say, all right, that's it, that's enough, whatever. He turned around, took his mask off, and started going back at them. So he basically is taunting the Houston Astros bench. He taunted Garrett Cole, the inning before or whatever it was. And now he's losing his mind, and A.J. Hinch comes out. He diffuses it a little bit. Then it happens again the next pitch. It was a strike, but when he called the strike, he kind of just turned and looked over at the Houston Astros bench. So to the point where A.J. Hinch just kind of got up and he's like, no, you're not going to do that again. You're not going to do that every pitch, which I agree with. You're not going to do that. You're basically, basically the saying of, people shouldn't have power. He's like one of those guys that shouldn't have power. And as the umpire position, he's got a lot of power on the game. I mean, we can agree with that.
Yeah.
And he just kind of looked over, and A.J. Hinch had the right to lose his mind on the umpire, and he did. But you can read the lips of Ron Kulpa saying, I can do whatever I want. So, I mean, before we get into it more, I kind of just gave you the background. Kevin, now I'll ask you this. Who was in the right, who was in the wrong? Do you think Ron Kulpa was right or wrong?
See, what Ron had said towards the end of this whole ordeal was that he could do whatever he wants. Unfortunately, as an umpire, they have complete command of a baseball game. It's not just one person. It's a collective group. There's 4 of them, 1 for each base. And basically what it came down to was, you're right, power, taking over at that standpoint. He's absolutely wrong in that predicament. It's showing such favoritism towards the other team. It doesn't really show hatred towards one team. It's showing favoritism, which, I can go into debates left and right in every sport about referees / umpires showing, basically having calls of theirs being debated, and whether or not there's a background to it, because they're all human beings. They're all, they're like you, they're like me. They have favorite teams. You don't grow up a kid going, I've always wanted to be an umpire, or I've always wanted to be a referee, and you don't root for any team, especially in the professional level. So, in this standpoint, absolutely, there's no doubt about it. This man is wrong, especially after he looked over at the bench a second time. Now you're making the game all about you, which looks bad on Major League Baseball, and it goes more into it. What you had talked about in the very beginning of this segment was how he had a pitch clock, and how many, pitches, or whatever you want to call it, how many pitches, can be thrown as warm-ups before the inning starts. And like you had said in the beginning, you thought it was just a certain amount of pitches, or just until the commercial break came, and then, there was an agreement there. Clearly there was a miscommunication amongst the umpire and Garrett Cole just to start the inning, so the inning didn't start off fresh to begin with. But I fought Major League Baseball for that. They've been talking about speeding up these games and having something called a pitch clock. You got to remember, these Major League Baseball players, their arms, especially the pitchers, are very valuable. Those teams pay a lot of money for those arms. Garrett Cole is definitely in that category where his arm is very expensive. Him being able to do what he can as a pitcher is very rare. So therefore, you need to protect those arms. And trying to speed up the game by having a pitch clock will do nothing positive at all. Folks, when we go to a baseball game, we're not putting our nose in our watches to look and see, how long this is taking, how long. It's a baseball game. It's the experience. And if Major League Baseball has a problem with their game being too long and maybe thinking that's the basis as to why the game might be considered, in some view, boring, it's not that. It's not the fact that it takes a while in between pitches or how many pitches can be thrown or how much time a pitcher has to warm up. If a pitcher is not warmed up, he should not be going out there and throwing a ball 90 miles per hour. That is how you damage an arm. That is how you do significant damage to an arm. Just to be more specific. And when the value of his arm is that much, it becomes a little bit of a gray area for Major League Baseball, and their approach here is not correct. Now, I'm not trying to get off of what Ron did. What Ron did was terrible. Overall, I mean, I watched it, 10 minutes before we went live, and I was still in shock up until the point where our opening had just finished. Because I've never seen anything like that before in my life. That is very unique.
He also put his hands on the catcher, too.
There was just a lot involved.
Could you
with
imagine if, the catcher was to shove, or a pitcher was to shove the ump?
And what kind of product is Major League Baseball throwing out there on national television?
It would just be, it would be world news, that, oh, wow, a catcher puts his hands on the umpire. No one says it. Like, the umpire pushed him out of the way. Like,
again,
where's the suspension? Where, we're so quick to suspend all these other athletes and this and that. Like, when you're bad at your job, or you do something wrong at your job, you should get suspended. I mean, that goes for you, that goes for me, that goes for everybody out there, but it also should go for an umpire, it should go for a ref, it should go for any of these guys.
Now, I know this just happened last night,
but
there's almost no doubt in my mind this man should be suspended for what had happened. I mean, it was just uncalled for. The game turned more into a highlight on Ron, whatever. I don't even know his last name, folks. I don't want to know, because we shouldn't even be having a conversation about this. We should be saying who won the game.
Yeah.
Who won between the Houston, Astros and the Texas Rangers? I can't tell you who won the game, because the only thing you can see highlights on is what this man did. You became a distraction for Major League Baseball. It's just like the NFL and those players and how everything went on with the refs and with the Saints, and it became a distraction. And it made the NFL look really bad, and it makes Major League Baseball, the same standpoint, is making them look bad.
Listen, I understand, everybody kind of wants to be known, even if you're a referee or an umpire.
Still don't know his last name.
It's just, it gets to a point like, I don't want to know your name. I'm not watching this game because of the umpire.
Nope.
The fact that we know guys' names like Ron Kulpa, Angel Hernandez, C.B. Buckner. Then you go another big name that you heard a lot but nothing good about while you were watching a basketball game. You had Crawford, Joey Crawford,
or that guy Donahue. Remember with the betting?
Well, Donahue, that's the other thing.
It shows.
The fact that we know referees and umpires' names is a problem, unless you're Ed Hockley. That's a different thing. That's a totally different thing.
I think we can all agree here. Ed Hockley is the man.
His son is actually a ref now too.
He's such an awesome dude.
But but that's what I'm saying. Like, the fact that we know these guys' names is a problem. It's a problem. Okay. I'm not watching these games to see what referee or what umpire. I mean, the fact that we have records, all right? There are records with a team and a referee crew. Well, this team is 1-4, while this refereeing crew referees their game.
Or this umpire crew, because you'll see that mid-season.
That's what I'm saying. That's a problem. Okay, you know what? This is only playing into the computer umpires now. We were just saying, and we've said it when it first came out.
It'll ruin the game.
When it first came out, they said they're going to try out the AI umpires in the Atlantic League. And we spoke about it. It's not right. You can't do that. You can't do that. The best thing about baseball is the way it's played. It comes down to human element. You know what? Yeah, maybe that ball was a strike, or maybe that ball was a ball. You can't fight every single thing. And
the game has been a certain way.
It would just ruin the game. I mean,
of course,
it's also coming from, two big baseball fans, two people that have played baseball their whole lives. It just...
It's part of the game. It's always been part of it. Just like, a pass interference not being called it's part of the game. And the fact that the NFL is trying to change that up right now, but and then we go back to baseball right now, and it's part of the game. I can't stress it enough. An umpire making a bad call is always been an issue. There's nothing you can do about it. They're human. There's no right and wrong here.
Just be happy we can review.
Just be happy that we can watch the game of baseball and have the experience. I go back to what I said before. This game is about an experience. Not for the 30-year-old guy like me. It's for the 5-year-old kid going to his first game ever. I mean, that's what it's all about. Looking
first game,
the looks on these kids' faces when they get a baseball hit to them, and just being able to enjoy the game. And like I said, they have a favorite team, just like all these referees did. But the fact that we are sitting here right now having to talk about this because someone did something that excessive is obnoxious.
That's a problem, and I mean that's a problem that
And if I was that manager, I'm telling you, I give credit to the Astros manager right there because I would have went off.
I'm gonna find out if who won. Who won the game?
I'll be honest. I would have really have gone off on the man because that is obnoxious. Acting that way, and then you can easily read the lips of this umpire saying, "I can do what I want." I can do what I want.
You're based I don't know if anybody's had that happen where someone's just that rude to your face because they know that you can't do anything. That just boils my blood.
Now all of a sudden you're watching your television. Just naturally watching
By the way,
this
Houston
game.
lost it 4-0.
Watching this game just naturally. You're looking at this, and this is it's like a drama show.
Yeah.
What is this? I came to watch a game of baseball. That's why I have this on my television right now. Or this is why I paid the hundreds of dollars to come see this game, not to watch this this complete act, this complete drama series. That's what it seemed like. I mean, which is obnoxious. You should not have to even witness something like that. Okay? No. An umpire looking over at a bench after he makes a call. Folks, we're going way outside the boundaries of baseball at that point now. Now we came here to watch a game. Baseball is an enjoyable sport. There's fans all over the place. They love to watch the game. They love to watch the different aspects of the game. This is an aspect of the game that really MLB cannot afford to be getting added to it. And I'll tell you right now, when they're talking about having automatic, robotic, whatever you want to call it, balls and strikes, and having a machine do all this for you, and getting rid of umpires already, like he said, it will ruin the game. There are a lot of fans out there that would disagree with him. I'm not one of them, and I know these shows are meant for people to debate, but right now, if I have a strong view of something, I'm not going to sit there and pretend like I favorite something. And right now, I agree with him 100% on the basis that it would ruin the game. But there are a lot of people out there that can argue and tell you straight up that it will not ruin the game, that it would legitimately be what baseball needs. Just like the replays is what baseball needed, or how we're going to review defensive pass interference in the NFL next season because that's what the NFL needed. That's not what the NFL needs. That's not what MLB needs. MLB needs the game to stay the way it always has been. The same sport that has been America's sport.
It's America's pastime. It's just, I mean, this just goes
Why
back.
Change it?
This sport has been around for so long. Okay, there's been minor changes.
Of course.
Since the
and
thing
you have to do the minor change. This is not a minor change.
This is there's been minor changes. Home plate used to be a circle. Stuff like that. There is so much to baseball to love, really. I mean, I love the sport, and I'll just be like, oh yeah, there's so much strategic things that you have to kind of get into with baseball, and people look at me crooked.
Yo, my bad. I don't mean to just interrupt you. Islanders 1-0.
Let's go.
1-0.
Let's go.
That's a big goal.
Time. big time.
All right, continue.
So
Sorry.
yeah, we got the Islander game up here. You know, it's but Brock Nelson, he's hot right now. He is hot right now.
I don't care who's hot for this team as long as they,
As
as
long
a
as they're
team they're hot. Come playoff time.
Yeah. So yeah, like just people look at me crooked when they say that when I say that there's strategy to baseball. There really is strategy to baseball. I think that the whole shift thing is really ruining the game, but that's not here nor there. But there's a lot to baseball to love, and I love everything about baseball. And if there's automated umpires, I mean.
Well, I'll tell you, Ron, you did your job here. I mean, if your job was to get yourself unemployed,
exactly,
and
that's
have
what I'm
MLB
saying.
look into this even further, that's
It's
exactly
like,
what you
on,
did.
dude.
And I'll tell you, if I was an umpire in Major League Baseball, I'd be very, very angry.
Like this is a job. Like, first of all, can we talk about how not only is it going to ruin the game, but you're also taking away jobs. These are jobs. Okay, so now there's 32 MLB teams out there. Okay, 32. There's I think there's four umpires to a game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you got the first base umpire, you got the infield umpire, you got the third base umpire, and you got the home plate umpire. In the playoffs, they add 2 more. But now you're going to take away one guy from each of those games. Okay? So that's
all I'm saying is that basically this nonsense that he pulled off was uncalled for.
It's not something that we need in this sport.
It's got to be taken away. I would love to stricken that game from any kind of record. I mean, the fact that they lost 4-0 doesn't help MLB's case either. The Astros can easily say we lost this game because of that man sitting behind home plate, and that's not something that baseball needed, because this is the first time I've ever seen something like that. Listen, there are calls that are blown left and right. It happens. But now it's starting to look like that was happening deliberately, which is scary. It's a scary thought MLB is definitely thinking right now.
Yeah.
It's not something that, they want their fans to be thinking. But right now, I'm sitting here on a show right now explaining to you that maybe not the average Yankee fan or Met fan that could be watching this show right now in New York really is worried about it too much. But I'll tell you, if you're an Astro fan right now, which they have a lot of those fans, considering they have been a good team for a while now, there could be a huge uproar on the basis of that. The fact that to kind of just maybe ban this man from ever doing another Astro game.
Or just ban them altogether. Like, if he wants to lose his job. If he keeps
his job on, because, legitimately he could keep his job still with this.
I would say a hefty suspension.
Yeah, of course, but he'll be back.
This has got to be like, no, and you know what? That's fine. If you want to change your ways. Like, you cannot pull this again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the fact that we've been talking 23 minutes now about an umpire is a problem. I told you right when we started, we changed our whole show.
I really wanted to get into the Final Four.
We were going to talk about the not so fantastic Final Four.
0.04% of brackets.
It's funny going into
Four.
I think going into the either the Elite 8 or the Sweet 16, there was still one person that had a perfect bracket.
Amazing.
Don't think so anymore.
No, not
but
at all.
Just altogether, we were going to talk about the NHL playoffs because that's coming up soon. We were going to talk about.
But this had to be.
We were even going to predict. We were even going to predict the whole rest of the MLB season. Just kind of predictions, MVP, Rookie of the Year, the divisions, this and that, and it just changed. I'm no exaggeration. I got home from work at 6:15. I saw this at 6:30. I texted Kevin right away, right before he got here, and I said, I think we're going to talk about this umpire. I was like, did you see this? And he said no. So then I showed it to him when he got here, and he was all on board with going into this because it has to be talked about.
It's an issue.
It's an issue.
And honestly, we're not the only ones doing this right now. And that's the biggest problem is that, we shouldn't have to do things like this, but it has to be done because this is a problem.
Of
course. Barstool put it up today, and that's all it takes.
All you have to do is type in Ron on Twitter, and Ron Kulpa is the first thing that comes up. So, it's a problem, and the baseball has to look into it. I think they got to look into maybe, doing something with this guy. And I would not be surprised if in the next day or two you see, MLB suspends Ron Kulpa for 30 games or whatever. Like I don't know what the punishment would be.
Folks, to get
but
the
it has
real,
to be.
get the real aspect of what exactly happened, you need to be able to go and look this up yourself. And honestly, you should be able to find it with no issue. But what he did was just absolutely obnoxious. It showed the kind of character he is.
Yeah,
and there's no room for that for a player.
That's the craziest thing.
Even just a major league player to act. But for an umpire, you're in the wrong league. This is a professional level. Once again, you have like we talked about how children, for the most part, aren't really looking at the game for the referee or the umpire. But you know what? There actually are some out there that are keeping an eye on you. And when you act like that on television, you're embarrassing yourself, and you're embarrassing Major League Baseball.
Listen, there's guys, there's umpires. I don't mean to cut you off.
You're
or
fine.
Anything. There's umpires in this league, that players know. And they say, all right, we got so-and-so tonight. His strike zone is the size of Texas. And then.
But that's what you prepare for, and that's what makes the game so great.
Like, all right, listen, if you're going to be a consistent umpire and call a consistent high strike or a consistent low strike or a consistent outside strike, whatever it is, if you're going to be consistent about it, players, coaches, fans, maybe not much fans, but they'll get over it. Because then it's, you fool me once, shame on me. Or shame on you. You fool me twice, shame on me. That's a perfect saying for this, because it's like, all right, he called that high strike, I struck out on that. Okay, next time I may not be able to hold off on that. I have to swing at that. That goes along with that strategy that I was talking about. All right, so you're looking at it. You got this umpire, and he's got a tight zone. A pitcher's gonna have trouble tonight finding the strikes.
See, that's what baseball is all about, because baseball is such a tough sport physically, but it is another level
mentally
of a mental, preparation is the best way to put it. You need to be able to prepare physically and mentally for this game. And all the sports are like that. I'm not taking it away from any other sport. But when it comes to baseball, like he just said, this umpire has a high strike zone. Let's be prepared before the game starts what to expect from this umpire behind the plate, because that's part of the game.
Absolutely.
He's human back there. And, if he likes, if he thinks high pitches are considered strikes, then that's what you need to go on the bases. But it's not even just, inside, outside, They have a different perspective. And you got to be able to look at that research. And that's part of managing. It's all part of the game. Now, when you bring a computer into this nonsense of a situation, now all of a sudden you go into every game like, oh, well, at least I know I won't get called off on a bad strike.
Yeah.
But
you can lay off whatever, whatever's not close. That's the thing. Like,
imagine a computer made a mistake too, which sounds crazy.
Imagine it.
But what if it's on that line? You see the box.
What's going to happen if like a whole system shuts down?
You see a box on TV every day. Am I wrong?
First of all, those are the worst.
I know.
If you watch ESPN, like Wednesday night or whatever it is, Wednesday night baseball, or Sunday night baseball, and they have that K zone or whatever, it's never right.
I know, and
it's never right.
And
I mean, look at football. Football. How long have we had a yellow line on the field? How long have we had that? It's still not right.
Yeah, there's still
it's
times
still
where
not right.
Yeah, absolutely. I can absolutely agree 100%. So when you have a computer that's going to have the basis of one of these little boxes that are on the television, now let's say a piece of the ball gets in the box, but majority of the ball is outside. I mean, who's to make that assumption of whether or not that's a strike or not? See, you cannot bring computers into this game to call balls and strikes. It's not going to do anything good for the game. Again, there are a bunch of people out there that are going to disagree with me. I would love for you to call into my show and we could talk about this all day long.
And I would love to like kind of hear how long you've played baseball, or if ever.
Because it's all part of the experience, and it's all part of the game. It's been part of the game.
Human element, like
changing the game.
What are we going to have robot referees, going up and down a football field next? Like, what's the deal? Okay, like there's been problems where a guy was called off on a strike three that wasn't a strike three, whatever, but that's just part of the game. That's part of the game. We have to realize that, and that's just kind of the moral of the show today.
Well, can we just I don't I know we're talking about baseball right now, and we threw in a little bit of the New York Islanders. I don't care. I'm throwing in Jets jerseys just came out. Big fan. I do like them a lot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So they're not like the ones that they leaked earlier yesterday or whatever.
I mean, it actually kind of like it does. It was a very brief picture what I saw. I just like it. This is it. It's like a very small example, but it's very good.
So it kind of I guess it kind of.
I like it. That's it. I really just wanted to go. I wanted to touch up on that because this actually is. It just unveiled just now, and again, we're like we talked about. We have a plan for this show to be able to talk about March Madness and tell you about that on Tuesday. But when stories like Ron, I refuse to remember this guy's last. You could do it. I'm going to refuse to remember his last name.
Ron Kulpa.
I refuse.
Yeah.
You could say it as much as you want. I'm never going to remember this guy's name. But we're going to talk about stories that come out that are relevant towards these major sports, and that being one, Jets being another.
This is kind of like what this podcast is for now. Like, we have our regular sports show that we do Saturday mornings, which is going to change the next 2 weeks. We have to work something out with the next 2 weeks. But our show is originally Saturday mornings. It's always going to be Saturday mornings unless something comes up like it is the next 2 weeks.
Yep.
Other than that, it's always Saturday mornings. But now we just added these Tuesday and Thursday podcasts. So we're on for like 30 minutes, just talking about what's going on today. Like what's going on the night before, whatever it is. And what happened was we had a plan, and that's the problem with the podcast. There's really no plan. But we had a plan. And we were going to talk about, March Madness. We were going to talk about, the NHL playoffs coming up soon. We were going to talk about, some baseball stuff. And then Ron Kulpa came around, and, we had to jump at it.
Just because this was very unique, folks.
Yeah,
very. Again, I've never seen anything like this. I've been watching baseball for over 20 years, and I've never seen anything like that.
But, another thing that's going to happen, and we actually just discussed it, but we're going to start hyping it up now. Because this is something that needs to be hyped up.
Of course. It's going to be a good show, folks.
So, April 25th, if everybody knows what that date is. April 25th, it's a Thursday. Significant in the football world. It is the night of the NFL draft. And as I said, we do our podcast Tuesdays and Thursdays. Well, the NFL draft falls right on a Thursday. And we're going to do a draft show. Okay.
Which I like. I think it's a great idea.
And we're going to start working on it now.
Yep.
All right. So we're hyping it up to you. We want everybody
It'll be a good show, folks. If you're a big fan of the NFL or just the draft process in general, it's going to be a great show. I advise you all to tune in that night.
Tune in that night. Follow us on Twitter at RUTS Sports. That night we'll even go live on Zeno.
Again, we'll take calls. The show.
If you want to call in during the show, you can.
Absolutely.
It's probably going to be a long show. Usually it goes late. The NFL draft. I don't know how late Kevin's going to want to stay here, but
I don't mind.
But we're going to do a show that night. Usually the NFL draft starts at 8:00. We'll probably start at like 7:45. We want to do a quick mock draft first. So we'll discuss the mock draft, and then we'll see how it plays out. Usually the mock drafts that I do, we don't discuss trades because a lot goes into that.
Absolutely.
But we'll discuss, our mock draft, and then we'll go right into the NFL draft. And we'll boo Roger Goodell along with you. And I'm excited for it. It just kind of came to me.
It's a good idea.
I wanted to see when it fell, what day it fell on, and it fell on, a Thursday. So I'm excited. I want to get this going. We're going to start working on it now. We'll do our homework on our draft picks and everything like that. We got a whole month or so, a little less than a month to get that going.
What?
We got 20 days.
I was going to say.
Yeah, a little less than a month.
All right.
10 days less than a month.
Damn right.
Yeah. But, we apologize again for the beginning of the show. You might have heard Kevin talking in his radio voice over and over and over again.
That wasn't my fault. I keep doing it.
But, let's go Islanders. Let's hope they take
Hey, just keep
two-goal
trying
lead
to
here.
find a way. to win.
Yeah, and let's go. Who's playing Washington again? Oh, Montreal. Let's go Montreal.
It's 1-1 right now.
Yes. So that will do it for today's show. Remember, April 25th, and I'm going to advertise it for the rest of the month.
100%. It's
Follow
really
us
going to
on
be a good show.
Follow us on Instagram at RUTS Sports. Follow us on Twitter at RUTS Sports. Subscribe or follow us on SportsCastr, whatever it is. It's going to be an interesting month. A lot of work from us, and I can't wait for this draft show. I'm actually hyping myself up while I'm hyping you guys up, just so you know. But yeah, again, RUTS Sports, Twitter and Instagram. Go to SeatGiant.com, type in RUTS Sports to save on tickets. You can check out our website, www.rutsports.weebly.com. That's it for our umpire show today.
It had to be done.
It had to. But that will do it. I'm Jerry.
I'm Kevin.
Beat Breezy.
Beat Breezy.
And it is all over! You've been listening to Running Up the Score on SportsCastr Live. We run up the score on sports radio. For more Running Up the Score, go follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at RUTS Sports.